Chapter 906 was released in June of 2018. We saw a figure walk through frozen chambers beneath Pangaea Castle, carrying bounty posters of Luffy, Blackbeard, and Shirahoshi. We then witnessed the 5 elders prostrate themselves before this shadow and ask which light needed to be extinguished from history. We called this figure Imu, and we spent nearly 8 years and over 270 chapters theorizing about their identity. We watched Imu order the complete annihilation of the Leluzia kingdom, witnessing them impale King Cobra with a spade-tipped tail. We also witnessed them possess Gunko's body remotely and transform Dory and Broggy into demons. Through all of this, we saw the same thing, a shadowy blob with a distinctive crown and a impossibly long robe. Accompanying this was a distorted voice that sounded like multiple people speaking at once. Saint Nerona Imu descended onto Elbaf in a pillar of pentagram energy. His arrival was accompanied by a massive magic circle above Orist Castle. Buildings and trees sprouted demonic faces and began singing as lightning cracked across the sky. Then Imu physically materialized, collapsing to his knees, coughing up blood as he started to scream while transforming. Black wings erupt from his back with a demonic tail extending behind him, and when the transformation was complete, we witnessed a figure with dark skin, stark white hair, curved horns, and an eye-covered halo perched atop of the castle's highest spire. The introduction box confirmed what we suspected. Saint Nerona Imu is a male, one of the first 20 founders of the world. He holds the title King of the World, and his power is Devil Fruit, or Akuma no Mi. Following Imu's reveal, we have way more questions than answers. Where is the crown? The silhouette that we've seen for 8 years wore distinctive spiked headwear. It appeared every time that Imu was shown. After the transformation, it simply vanishes. Why did Imu scream and cough up blood? We've seen Imu possess Gunko's body with no visible strain, but yet him physically arriving in his own body causes agony. Why does the voice change? The distorted multiple voices affect that defined Imu's speech patterns. It disappears entirely once the transformation completes. Now, do you know who has the answers to all of these questions about Imu? All of the people who have subscribed to the channel. Only 10% of the people who watch these videos are subscribed, so if you enjoy this One Piece content and want to see more, make sure you hit the bell icon and subscribe. Every aspect of Imu's transformation carries some dense symbolic weight. Let's begin with the physical traits, looking at the dark skin, stark white hair with a swirly texture, 2 S-shaped horns that curve twice, a spade-tipped devil tail, the very same tail that stabbed Sabo and impaled King Cobra. Then there's the black wings that erupt during Imu's transformation, circuit-like white tattoos covering his entire body, including an eye symbol on his right hand and the left side of his face. A lot of people have noted that Imu appears to be a hybrid of at least 3 ancient lineages within One Piece. The dark skin and white hair mirror the Lunarian race exactly. King possesses these similar features. The Lunarians lived atop of the Red Line in a kingdom of the gods before the world government destroyed them and built Merijo on their ruins. The double curved horns are similar to Kaido and they trace back to the ancient giants. Road explained during the arc that no pure-blooded ancient giants remain, but traces of their blood persist in certain giants. Harold possessed ancient giant blood, which he passed to Loki. Both display distinctive curved horns. Some have also theorized and proposed a third possibility. Imu's hair may conceal a third eye, connecting him to the 3-Eye tribe and their ability to hear the voice of all things. If this is true, then Imu would represent the progenitor from which multiple ancient races diverged from, rather than a descendant of a single lineage. Now, this massive halo that surrounds Imu dominates his visual design. It's covered in eyes. The black Hagoroma clouds form a ring behind Imu with dozens of eyes imprinted into the clouds. It's easy to see that this resembles the Oppenheim, or the biblical depiction of angels, wheels within wheels, their rims full of eyes all around, as described in Ezekiel's vision. These beings guard God's throne and they represent divine omniscience. Imu's clothing is also very distinctive. He has a black cloak which bears the Depth's Covenant symbol, a fur-lined Viking-style belt which echoes imagery from Harold, Loki, and the giants of Elbaf, striped baggy pants, spiked bracelets, pointed shoes, a massive scarf decorated with 3 skulls matching the motif that was used by Oz, Blackbeard's Jolly Roger, and the One Piece film red villain Toto Musica. Imu's weapon seems to be a massive zigzag-bladed naginata, potentially one of the 12 supreme grade blades. The design is reminiscent of the Vajra from Hindu-Buddhist tradition, the lightning weapon of divine judgment, as well as the Gungnir from Norse mythology, Odin's spear that never misses. After having seen Imu's face, there's no doubt that he's strikingly handsome with long eyelashes, a sharp bone structure, giving him these very androgynous features. It totally reminds me of the Fallen Angel painting by Alexandra Carbonell. Now, Imu's power within chapter 1179 is listed as Akuma no Mi. This is written with the katakana characters rather than the standard kanji characters that are used for every other devil fruit throughout the entire series. Every devil fruit in One Piece follows a 2-syllable repeated naming pattern. Gomu Gomu, Mera Mera, Inu Inu, Opi Opi for example. This pattern is true without any exception across hundreds of devil fruits that have been introduced within the series. Imu's devil fruit uses a single 3-syllable word, unrepeated and written in katakana, the written form that is usually reserved for proper names and foreign loanwords. The Viz English version translated it as the devil's fruit, as we get this possessive article. No other devil fruit in the entire series has received treatment like this. So the naming convention suggests that Imu possesses the source devil fruit from which all other devil fruits derive from. His Akuma no Mi preceded the categorization system. The Paramecia, Zoan, and Logia types might all trace back to this single original power. Watch Imu's abilities throughout the Elbaf arc, when he transformed Dori, Brogy, and the giant warrior pirates into demons through Domi Reversi. He granted them enhanced strength, immortality, and mindless bloodthirsty dispositions. When he possessed Gunko's body, he projected Conqueror's Haki that was so powerful that Loki called it preposterous. When he teleported to Elbaf, every inanimate object nearby sprouted demonic faces and began singing. His fruit simultaneously exhibits properties of all 3 devil fruit types, Zoan transformations into hybrid and beast forms with wings, horns, and tail, Paramecia awakening that animates his surroundings into demonic homies, apparent Logia-like intangibility when he absorbed attacks as a shadow blob during the Cobra assassination. Recall what Jabra said back in chapter 385 during Enies Lobby. When you eat a devil fruit, a devil lives inside your body. Fans dismiss this as superstition, but if you read it now, it does appear to be a literal fact. Imu places a fragment of himself within every devil fruit user. This may explain why Domi Reversi failed on Luffy and Loki. When Imu attempted to transform them into demons at the end of chapter 1178, both of them shrugged off the technique. The devil cannot possess a body that already contains a piece of himself. Devil fruit users carry inherent immunity to Imu's most dangerous ability. Imu uses very unique pronouns that set him apart from every other One Piece character. When he refers to himself, he uses the pronoun mu, derived from his own name. He uses Nushia for others. This is an archaic second-person pronoun that Viz translates as thou or thee. Nerona is derived from Nero, the Roman emperor suspected of burning Rome to build his golden house while blaming Christians for the fire. The parallel to the world government's systematic burning of O'Hara and erasure of history is unmistakable. Nero persecuted those who challenged his divine authority. Imu does the same to the will of D. In Norse mythology, Im is a Jotun, a primordial giant of immense power. Before anything existed, there was Ginnungagap, a magical void. From this void emerged beings of primordial evil. Imu emerged from the Void Century, a period whose very name evokes that mythological emptiness. The Japanese word Imu means to shun or to avoid or detest, the abominable one, the one who must be avoided, the one history itself tries to forget. Imu's design is similar to Nuja, the Chinese Buddhist protection deity. Nuja wields 4 signature items: the Universe Ring, an indestructible golden ring representing cosmic mastery, the fire-tipped spear, a weapon with an eternal eternally burning tip, the red armillary sash, an infinitely extending binding cloth, and the wind-fire wields enabling flight through flame. Imu's eye-covered halo directly parallels the universe ring. His zigzag naginata maps to the fire-tipped spear. The skull-decorated scarf evokes a corrupted version of the red armillary sash, and the dark flames surrounding his transformation are similar to the wind-fire wheels. Nuja's most famous story is his battle against the Dragon Kings of the Four Seas. He killed the Dragon Prince Aobing and flayed a dragon to make his father's belt. In One Piece, Imu controls the world from above the sea. His name, reversed, spells Umi, meaning sea. Some have theorized that Imu created the curse that makes the ocean reject his devil fruit users. Nuja fights Sun Wukong in Journey to the West, the mythological figure that Luffy is based off of. Nuja's three-headed, six-armed battle form versus the trickster monkey is in parallel directly to Imu's confrontation with Gear 5 Luffy. Nuja's death by self-dismemberment to save his family from the Dragon King's wrath, followed by resurrection through lotus roots constructed by his master, parallels Imu's 800-year immortality. If Imu died during the Void Century and was reconstructed using forbidden methods, perhaps the Opi Opi no Mi's perennial youth operation, as Ivankov theorized, then the mythology aligns perfectly. The Lucifer and Imu parallels layer on top of this. Isaiah 14 describes Lucifer's 5 ambitions: to ascend to heaven, raise his throne above God's stars, sit on the Mount of Assembly, claim God's glory, and answer to no one. Imu has accomplished all 5. He sits on the empty throne, he rules from the Red Line's summit, he demands worship and commands absolute obedience through the Covenant system. Lucifer was the most beautiful angel before the fall. Imu's design preserves this. Lucifer took the form of the serpent to offer forbidden fruit in Eden. Imu distributes power through devil fruits that curse their recipients. This further emphasizes that parallel that I drew between Imu's design and the painting The Fallen Angel by Alexandra Carbonell. This artwork depicts the devil following his fall from heaven. Fans are divided on what we actually witnessed within chapter 1179. A really interesting theory that's been going around explores what if the body that we saw doesn't belong to Imu at all? What if Imu is piloting the corpse of the sun god Nika? The evidence for this theory centers on design elements that point away from Imu and towards Nika specifically. The weapon is a spear. When Who's Who described Nika's legend in chapter 1018, the silhouette showed Nika wielding a spear. Joy Boy, by contrast, is depicted with a sword and shield in the Harley mural and the Void Century imagery. The transformed figure carries Nika's weapon, not Joy Boy's. The hair has a distinctive swirly texture, the same quality as Luffy's hair in Gear 5. The awakening of the Nika fruit produces that specific visual trait. The transformed figure displays this hair naturally. Imu's outfit matches those from Elbaf, and Nika is primarily an Elbaf god. The giants have worshipped him for over 1,000 years. After all, their religious text centers on his legend. The clothing fits Nika's cultural context. Imu's painful transformation suggests that Nika's body could be resisting Imu. Why would Imu's own body fight against him? But a corpse being forcibly inhabited may resist. The screaming, the coughing blood, the agonized emergence of wings, these seem to be Nika's body fighting back on Imu violating it rather than Imu naturally awakening. The eye tattoos on the body appear to be designed to ward off evil, but it makes no sense that these tattoos should be on the body of Imu. But again, protective marks on Nika's corpse desperately trying to reject possession would fit perfectly. The giants argue about 2 Nikas, one who liberates, one who destroys. If Imu pilots Nika's body, destructive Nika, while Luffy carries Nika's will, the liberating Nika via the devil fruit, then both interpretations are correct. While this theory is interesting, most fans lean towards Imu having his own awakened devil fruit transformation. We cannot ignore the introductory box which explicitly labels the Akuma no Mi as Imu's Imu's ability. The Hagoroma clouds studded with eyes are consistent with Imu's established visual motifs, which are surveillance, control, divine corruption. The Lunarian traits of dark skin, white hair are more logically explained by Imu being a Lunarian or a hybrid being himself, potentially a fallen member of the race who betrayed his people. A shadow blob may simply be a restricted state. Think of Frieza's suppressed forms in Dragon Ball. Rather than Imu's true appearance, the crown could be a manifestation that only appears when Imu limits his power. The transformation on Elbaf might represent Imu unleashing full strength outside of his domain for the first time, hence the physical toll it's taking. 56 years before the present day, Roxy Xebec invaded the Room of Flowers in Pangea Castle. This is the only breach in the Holy Land security in over 800 years. Imu explicitly states that the entire situation they were facing had started all the way back when he failed to stop Rox when he was confronted by him 56 years ago. Rox learned of Imu's existence and desired to dethrone him. He confronted Imu directly in the heart of the world government's power. Imu initially paid no mind to the pirate's threats, dismissing him as a minor nuisance, but Rox revealed his true name to be Davy D. Xebec. According to Xebec, his ancestor Davy D. Jones was the previous king of the world. Imu angrily rejects this, stating Jones was never a king for even a moment. Whatever happened between Imu and Davy, Imu considers exterminating the entire Davy bloodline necessary for the world to be complete. The Will of D splits into two branches: Joy Boy's path of liberation, which was inherited by Roger then Luffy; Davy Jones' path of conquest, that was inherited by Rox then Blackbeard. Both terrify Imu because both represent forces that he cannot permanently extinguish. When Rox asked which Imu feared more, Joy Boy or Davy Jones, Imu's response was violence. The confrontation ended without a resolution. Because Rox survived, Imu is now suffering the consequences. 38 years ago, Imu contacted Saturn about Roxy Xebec's activities. Upon learning that Rox was part of the near-extinct Davy family and that his wife, child, and entire secret clan were living on God Valley, Imu descended down by possessing Saturn's body. The God Valley incident became one of the most infamous events in the history of One Piece. Imu, operating through Saturn, took on Rox, several subordinates who would become emperors, the future Pirate King Roger, and Monkey D. Garp single-handedly. Roger, Garp, Whitebeard, Big Mom, and Kaido all struck the possessed Saturn with devastating attacks, but Imu recovered quickly. Imu used Domi Reversi on Rox. The pirate captain resisted the transformation long enough to taunt Imu further. Imu completed the possession by mentioning his plans to subjugate Elbaf. The demonized Rox was issued a single order: end the Davy bloodline by killing his wife Eris and his infant son Marshall D. Teach. Rox fought his own subordinates, then moved to kill his family. Bartholomew Kuma's intervention saved Eris and Teach by pushing them to an unknown location. Imu assumed the task was complete, but it wasn't. The Davy clan bloodline survived, and now Blackbeard commands multiple devil fruits, is building power across the seas, and is actively searching for the One Piece. Chapter 1179 structures Imu's arrival through a sequence of memories, an 800-year-old chess game where pieces have fallen into place against him. He recalls Rox invading the Room of Flowers. He recalls Roger declaring the existence of the One Piece at his execution. He remembers learning that Shanks stole the Nika fruit. He also recalls the birth of Shirahoshi as the return of Poseidon. And he remembers Whitebeard protecting Luffy at Marineford and wondering why. Every memory represents a personal failure for Imu. Each of these manga panels here contributed to the current crisis. Imu has ruled for 800 years, but control has been slipping through his fingers since Rox first challenged him. His obsession with Nefertari Vivi stands out. Imu keeps a portrait of her ancestor Nefertari di Lily on the wall of Pangea Castle, despite apparent animosity towards her. Lily was the founding queen of Alabasta who refused to become a celestial dragon 800 years ago. She deliberately scattered the poneglyphs across the world, ensuring the truth could never be controlled. While shredding photos of Luffy and Blackbeard, Imu held Vivi's photo intact. His command to the five elders wasn't to eliminate her, as he instead told them, "I desire Vivi." When Cobra came seeking answers about Lily's fate, Imu revealed himself for the first time to an outsider. When Cobra admitted that Lily carried the D in her name, Imu impaled him. Whatever Lily knew, whatever she passed down through her bloodline, Imu considers it to be an existential threat. Some have theorized that Imu may have been in love with Nefertari di Lily, but Lily may have learned the truth about Imu, but instead of joining him, she betrayed him by spreading the pornoglyphs across the world and then disappearing. Now, Imu declared something important after Harald's death inflicted damage on him via the Covenant system. Elbaf, whom he called D, is completely incompatible with the world government, and it could never be carelessly incorporated into its forces. The entire nation carries the ancient enemy's mark. The giants who worship Nika, who preserved the Hale text, who remember what the world government tried to erase, they are the clan of D. They're not individual carriers of the initial, but an entire civilization that is aligned with the ancient kingdom's legacy. This explains why Imu has struggled to control Elbaf for over a century despite Harald's genuine attempts at cooperation. The giant king shaved his own horns and hair as a gesture of goodwill. He negotiated trade agreements, and he served as a devoted blade. He installed an abyss on Elbaf as ordered, but none of this mattered. When Imu revealed his true intentions, he started rounding up Elbaf's population to form an army of slaves. Harald's body began acting against his will through the Depths Covenant. The loyal servant ended up becoming a puppet, as his son Loki killed him as an act of mercy, ending Harald's torment before Imu could fully weaponize him. Imu learned from this failure that Elbaf cannot be converted, it needs to be broken. The Shallows Covenant grants entry-level connection from Imu. Devoted blades receive this mark, providing access to abyss travel and telepathic contact with Imu. Control only functions within a certain range of Merijo. Shanks once carried this mark on his left arm. The Sea King that bit off his arm while saving young Luffy inadvertently severed the Covenant. The Depths Covenant grants full Holy Knight status, limited to 13 individual recipients who receive immortality through the Steel Mechanical Heart. Regeneration from any wound, as well as enhanced strength and abyss transportation. The cost of the Depths Covenant is the biological heart and susceptibility to Imu's possession at any time. Harald received this level of the Covenant. His body moved according to Imu's commands regardless of his own will. Summers showcased the vulnerability during the Elbaf invasion. After Zoro cut him in half, his severed body parts attempted to magnetically reconnect. Goldberg revealed that his heart is made of steel, complete with a mechanical gauge. Destroy the heart and the immortality contract shatters. Summer's visible terror confirmed this as a genuine weakness. Now, the final Abyssal Covenant is reserved for the 5 Elders. All Depths powers enhanced, plus yokai-based demonic transformations and the ability to serve as direct vessels for Imu's physical projection. Saturn's execution proved the cost of failure. After the Egghead incident, Imu stripped all power from Saturn and reduced him to a withered skeleton. Over 200 years of service meant nothing to Imu. Conqueror's Haki provides the counter to the Covenant system. Joy Boy's stored Haki sent the 5 Elders flying off of Egghead, and it caused Imu to collapse screaming. Scopper Gaban proved that Haki-infused attacks temporarily halt Covenant-based regeneration. The will of kings overpowers the contracts of the devil. During Imu's rampage through Gunko's body, one Straw Hat refused to run away. Usopp confronted Imu directly after Brook was defeated. Despite being easily overwhelmed and having no chance of winning, Usopp got back up as he called out Imu's actions as being cowardly. He equipped his weapon and dared Imu to fight the might of Elbaf on his own without resorting to cheap tricks. Imu considered such defiance beneath him. He forced Usopp to fire at point-blank range as he caught him in the blast radius, resulting in Usopp laying defeated. But Luffy and Loki arrived moments later, having finally tracked the source of the overwhelming Haki. Imu addressed them as Nika and Nidhogg, using their ancestral titles rather than their individual names, treating them as eternal reincarnating roles. Imu issued an ultimatum: submit to his will or die, as the resulting battle would divide the world. Neither agreed to Imu as Loki attacked with lightning breath, Luffy got his wounded crewmates to safety, and the final fight of the arc is just beginning. Like I mentioned earlier, Domi Reversi failed as both Luffy and Loki shrugged off the transformation. Imu found himself battered by Luffy's Dawn Gatling, then frozen by Loki's Niflheim attack using Ragnia. He retreated to Merijo, which was already burning. Then he made the unprecedented decision to leave Pangaea Castle personally. When Imu announced his intention to leave the castle, the five elders panicked. Walkyrie offered to be deployed instead. Jupiter warned of grave consequences. They begged and pleaded for their ruler to stay in the Holy Land. Only Garling, Saturn's replacement, supported the decision, arguing that they'd been complacent for too long. The moment Imu teleported to Elbaf through an abyss, his body rebelled. He collapsed immediately and started coughing up blood. He screamed through a forced transformation. Simply arriving on Elbaf had obviously hurt Imu for some reason. For 800 years, Imu operated exclusively through proxies, possessing Saturn on God Valley, possessing Gunko on Elbaf, commanding the five elders remotely. His physical departure from Pangaea Castle is something unprecedented, and the cost is visible. Imu told the five elders that he was only going to leave for a short while. He deliberately mentioned a time limit. So it seems like the Giants and the Straw Hats don't need to face off against Imu for a long time. Their battle is essentially a war of attrition against an immortal being who can only maintain this immortality in a singular location. Emporio Ivankov theorized that Imu received the Opi Opi no Mi's perennial youth operation, but Oda corrected this term in volume 107. The surgery grants eternal youth, not immortality. Imu doesn't age, but he can be killed apparently. Now, at the same time, the Revolutionary Army's food blockade is starving Merijo. Garling confirmed that even celestial dragons are going hungry. Imu faces a devastating situation. His home base is weakened while he bleeds in the battlefield. Whatever power tethers Imu to Pangaea Castle, that tether is stretched to its breaking point here. When Imu descended on Elbaf, every inanimate object nearby sprouted demonic faces and began singing. Fans immediately recognized this as the drums of oppression, a direct inversion of Luffy's Gear 5 heartbeat rhythm. While Luffy's drums make people laugh, dance, and feel free, Imu's presence forces the environment into twisted, involuntary agony. When the Sun God's heartbeat liberates, the Devil's song enslaves. Think back to Oda's commentary statements for One Piece film read back in 2022. He stated that a being like Toto Musica exists in the One Piece manga but hasn't yet been drawn. Toto Musica, the demon king of songs, was a monster born from people's negative emotions. Oda confirmed its forming process mirrors how devil fruits are created. Imu's ability to corrupt his environment through demonic sound fulfills this promise. Both Toto Musica and Imu represent enslavement via corrupted music, the antithesis of the liberating drum beats that defines Nika. The ancient mural on the treasure tree Adam, painted by giants 800 to 900 years ago, depicts a winged, horned demon facing a coalition of every race working together. The demon silhouette matches Imu's transformed appearance, wings, horns, and imposing stature. The giants who painted this mural knew what the final enemy would look like. The Harley text divides history into three worlds. The first world saw humanity exploit a forbidden sun using slave labor. Nika descended to liberate them. The Earth God raged, and with the Serpent of Infernal Flames, they destroyed this world. The first world concluded by stating they will never meet. The second world saw the Forest God send forth demons during an era of expansion. Joy Boy rose and was murdered by the 20 kings that allied with Imu. The seas flooded the world, with the chapter concluding they will never meet. When Imu arrived on Elbaf and trees sprouted demonic faces, he fulfilled the description of the Forest God, sending forth demons. Devil fruits might be exactly this. Demons distributed across the world by Imu, fragments of his power embedded in every cursed fruit. The third and final world prophesizes the final war. Nika, supported by giants, samurai, Lunarians, minks, a mermaid princess with sea creatures, and a robot resembling Emmet. Ships from Alabasta appear in the coalition, and unlike the previous chapters, this one ends with hope, stating they will surely meet. Every alliance that Luffy has built across 1179 chapters will converge upon this single final battle against Imu. Pretty much everyone agrees that Imu isn't going to be defeated at Elbaf. This is just one confrontation that is starting off a final battle. The likely arc resolution involves Imu demonstrating overwhelming power before being forced to retreat due to physical deterioration. A Revolutionary Army assault on an undefended Merijo or intervention from Shanks or Dragon could result in Imu retreating earlier. So the Elbaf arc concludes with the Straw Hats surviving, but having faced off against the final enemy for the first time. Chapter 1138's mural prophesizes exactly the correlation that must form. Straw Hats, giants, samurais, Lunarians, minks, fishmen with Poseidon, the Alabaster Kingdom with Vivi, and Emmet-style ancient technology all need to be united against the winged demon Emu. There seem to be 3 Conqueror's Haki users currently fighting on Elbaf: Luffy, Loki, and Zoro, who learned during this arc that he's been unconsciously using Conqueror's Haki for hundreds of chapters. What's interesting is that the Mother Flame that York is recreating may be essential to Emu's survival outside of his domain. But again, we'll have to wait and see to learn why exactly Emu was coughing when he arrived on Elbaf. I absolutely loved the reveal of Emu in chapter 1179. The devil finally has a face now. He came down from his throne, and in the lower world, he was surrounded by the sea which rejects him, facing off against the inheritor of the will of the sun god and the dragon of destruction Nidhogg. Now that Luffy and the others know exactly who they are facing off against, the final war can truly begin. Now we reached the point of the video where I want to hand over the discussion to all of you. What are your thoughts about the reveal of Emu? I'd love to know all of your own personal theories, so continue the discussion in the comments. And lastly, thanks for making it to the end of this one, and I look forward to seeing you in my next One Piece video. A massive thank you goes out to all of my amazing Patreon supporters for helping to make this video possible. If you also want to support the channel and see your name in the end of my videos, then check out my Patreon, which has loads of perks like early video access and so much more. Thank you for sticking around till the end of the video, and whatever you contribute will mean a lot to me.